Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from yourblackworld.net. I was people reached out to me because there was a recent case involving a young woman named Renisha McBride, and Renisha was involved in a really unfortunate accident where she was shot on someone's front porch. Um, and it was after a car accident, and she was knocking on the man's door. Some people say she was looking for help. Something was going on there. Nobody really knows exactly what happened that night. None of us were there except for the two people involved. And and it's interesting because I saw the headline. The headline was it said something to the effect that young black woman goes looking for help and gets shot on someone's porch. And the interesting thing about that headline is that it kind of reads into that standard narrative that says angry white person kills black person for no reason at all. No good reason at all. They're just savages, and we know that this kind of savagery has taken place in the past. I mean, a lot of us have we know about the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow, but I wanted to know a little bit more, because I try my best to think for myself, and I'm not. I'm certainly not interested in being an Uncle Tom. I'm not interested in being in the Negro Brigade. I'm not in that category of people that makes a quick snap judgment on anything without seeing the information, seeing the facts. And so I dug into it a little bit, and I did some reading to try to figure out what was going on. And there were just some facts about the case that really bothered me a little bit. Bothered me for not just for what happened to this young woman, but just bothered me about what's going on with young people, what's going on with violence in America. I'm not a liberal, I'm not a conservative. I'm just a guy who tries to look for common sense. And so, one thing I believe, for example, is I don't like the gun laws. I think that she wouldn't have been shot if this man didn't have a gun in his possession. And I'm not a fan of people having lots of guns. I think that that's one of the reasons we have so many tragedies in America. But also, I was concerned when I read the report from the witness. There was alcohol and weed in Renisha's system. She was drunk. She had twice the legal limit in her blood alcohol level. The witness said that she hit her car, and when she checked to see if she was okay, the woman had called 911. Renisha said, "Yeah, I'm fine." And then Renisha got back in the car, tried to drive away, and the woman had explained to her, "You can't drive your car; it's damaged." And so the woman goes back in the house, calls 911 again. By that time, Renisha's gone. This is from what I've read. And then next thing you know, she's down the street. She gets shot on somebody's porch. Now, I'm not here to sit here and say I know what happened. I'm not here to say that this man should be convicted or he should be acquitted. I don't know. I'm not involved in this case. But one of the things I have to say is that I am not interested in jumping on any bandwagons here. I've seen people that have run full-fledged campaigns calling this the new Trayvon Martin and stuff like that. And I don't see them the same way because Trayvon wasn't doing anything to anybody. Trayvon wasn't high and drunk. Trayvon wasn't in any situation where there was any question that he did anything to deserve what happened to him that night. And I don't think Renisha deserved what happened to her. So let's be clear about that. Nobody deserves to be shot. And I think that's something we can all agree on. But, I was deeply concerned because I'm sorry, forgive me and call me an Uncle Tom. Call me whatever the hell you want. I don't care. I don't think that there are that many regular white people who wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning looking to shoot a black person. I just don't, I don't see that. I don't think this man was looking for trouble. I think trouble came to him. And I think that given Renisha's state, given the fact that she was intoxicated, high and drunk, which I told you, it pisses me off when we have all this music out now that is glorifying and glamorizing black kids getting high and drunk all the time. It just makes me angry. Now, if Renisha had been white, I'd say the same thing. So it's not even about, pointing fingers or anything like that. But I've always said that I think drugs and alcohol lead us and our kids into bad situations. And the reason I have such little tolerance for that is because when my older brother died, who was actually my uncle, but he was like an older brother to me, that's all it was. It was weed and liquor, weed and liquor, weed and liquor, weed and liquor. And I remember him one time telling me that he doesn't like to listen to certain hip-hop songs because it makes him want to get high and drunk. So any idiot who thinks that the music and the culture and the media influence isn't playing a role in what our kids decide to do with their lives is stupid. Don't even talk to me. I have no patience for that kind of ignorance. If you truly believe that marketing does not work, marketing works. When rappers glorify and glamorize a lifestyle, kids adapt that. They fall right into that. If it had been the 1960s, maybe Renisha would have been influenced to become a Black Panther, or been influenced to become part of the civil rights movement. But now she's influenced to become part of this crazy bullshit hip hop that is telling our kids to destroy their lives. And again, if you don't think that this has an influence, then you obviously have never studied marketing. The reason corporations pay rappers millions of dollars to promote sneakers and jeans and outfits is because they know, scientifically proven, that when they do something, when they say something, the kids follow suit. They imitate that behavior. So I digress. I went off on a little bit of the tangent, but you know me, I'm just going to tell you the truth. I don't even care if you like it or not. Somebody said today, "Oh, I'm not going to subscribe to your page because you sound like somebody on Fox News." Well, to hell with you. I mean, I banned the person. I don't want you to follow me if you somehow think that I'm supposed to tell you how to think, or if you don't know how to think for yourself, or if you make snap judgments, or you don't have an interest in learning how to think on a multi-syllable level. If all you do is jump on the liberal or conservative side, then we don't need to be friends, because I'm neither one. I don't give a shit about the liberals or the conservatives. I don't even give a shit about the fact that people tell me that as a professor I shouldn't curse. No, I'm a human being. I'm going to tell you what I think. So here's another thing that goes back into the Renisha McBride situation that really gets to me. Okay, this is more of a personal experience, but this is something that throws in a little bit of reasonable doubt in my mind. There was one incident that occurred in my house when I lived in Syracuse, and there was a woman, a white woman, who lived near me, and she was drunk. She used to get drunk a lot. I felt bad for this poor lady. She had an alcohol problem, and one night at 2 o'clock in the morning, I hear my doorbell, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. I don't even know this lady. Never met her in my life. I didn't even know my neighbors. I'm a workaholic, so I don't even get to meet that many people around me. I'm going downstairs, and I have a weapon behind me, not a gun, but I had a weapon, because I'm like, who is ringing the hell out of my doorbell at 2 o'clock in the morning? I open the door. Mind you, she's drunk. I don't know her. She doesn't stand back politely and rationally like you might think someone is going to behave, or like somehow you may visualize Renisha behaving on the front porch. Again, I don't know. I don't know what Renisha did. I'm not here to tell you I know. I'm here to tell you that we don't know, which unfortunately for some people that makes them feel like you're betraying the race or something. And I don't care about that type of stuff. And so when I open the door, I leave the screen open. She's pulling my screen, and then I unlock it, and she pulls the screen, and she starts coming in my house. And I don't even know this lady, and she's trying to come into my house, and I'm like, who are you, and what do you want? Why are you coming to my house? So I'm grabbing this lady, and I had to physically grab her, push her out of my house to keep her from walking in. And the thing was that she was so drunk that she didn't even have the state of mind to understand that you don't go up to a stranger's house at 2 o'clock in the morning, ring the doorbell 50 times, and then try to walk in. She thought she could just walk in like that was her house. So again, I'm not saying this is what Renisha did. I'm not even saying it means she should get shot. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that we don't know what happened. And what really bothers me about this whole scenario is this idea, you're high and drunk, you're trying to leave the scene of an accident, and then something happens to you, but yet we're somehow supposed to believe that even though everything you did was irrational to that point, that somehow in that scenario you were behaving rationally. And remember, in the court of law, you don't need to prove a person's innocent. All you need is reasonable doubt. Reasonable doubt. Reasonable doubt. That means that even if there's a 90% chance that this person did decide that I just want to kill a black person, or this lady's on my porch and I'm just going to shoot her for no reason, even if that happened, if there's that 10% chance that maybe he was behaving in self-defense or whatever, then that kills it. Now, and I know people say that Renisha's small and stuff like that, and I agree. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that I would let this guy off the hook at all. But I'm here to just simply say that we gotta think on higher levels, because the fact is that nobody really knows exactly what happened. And I'll give you another example of a story that I saw that involved another person who was under the influence. There was this lady, and again, she was a white woman, and she drove into the back of my truck. And I got out of my truck. I went to her window to try to exchange information. I tapped on, and she didn't even roll the window down, didn't get out or anything. Again, she was high and drunk, so she wasn't behaving rationally. She left her window up as if nothing happened. And I said, "Excuse me, can you roll your window down?" And I'm doing like this, and she rolls her window down, and she's like, "What?" Like looking at me like nothing had just happened. And I said, "We have to exchange information. We got to call the police." And she goes, "I just want to go home." And it's funny because that's what they said Renisha said when she hit the lady's car, she said, "I just want to go home." That's why she got in the car, tried to start the car, even though it was all busted up. The car wouldn't start, so she walks down the street looking for some way to get home. Um, so then, check this out. So I call the police, and I'm like, well, you know what? We're gonna handle this. I'm gonna call the police. I'm gonna call 911. We're gonna or call whatever, and we're gonna get somebody out here. So the lady's upset about this, so she stays in the car. I go to my car, and I have a funny feeling that she's gonna drive away. So as I'm calling 911, lo and behold, she drives off. I get her license plate number. I call the police again, tell them that I've been the victim of a hit and run. I think the woman's under the influence. On her way home, this lady runs over a pedestrian and kills the pedestrian. She killed another person right after she hit me, and then she drove to her house. She didn't even stop after she killed the pedestrian. That's how irrational her behavior was that night, under the influence. So all I'm sitting here trying to say, I don't, honestly, do I know exactly what I'm trying to say? If you want to know what I'm trying to say, just listen to what I just said. Don't try to infer. Don't try to assume. I'm sure somebody will create some headline that says, "Oh, Dr. Boyce says Renisha McBride deserved to die." No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that we have to think more critically and think more analytically when it comes to how we assess things. Sometimes with racism being so prevalent in our society, it makes us think everything involves racism. And again, maybe this case did. I don't know. But I'm just sitting there saying that we have to look at it in an honest fashion. We can't sort of buy into this notion that says that a sweet innocent kid doing nothing, not hurting anybody, not bothering anybody, got shot in cold blood that night because again, I don't believe this guy got up at 4 o'clock in the morning thinking I want to go kill some black people. But again, I think that maybe a charge is called for because of the fact that, again, Renisha was a small person and maybe he could have handled her without using a weapon. But once again, when you're under the influence, it's very difficult for people to determine what you might have done because people who are under the influence, they behave strangely and sometimes they become really strong. I mean, I told you my father, my stepdad who raised me was a cop. And they would tell me stories about people on PCP, little people who suddenly became super strong and did these crazy things, and they'd use pepper spray and mace and couldn't get the person down. And so I think the best advice that we want to give, again, assuming that racist white people don't go away, assuming that racist police don't go away, is tell your kids to avoid drugs and alcohol at all costs. I'm not even talking about use it responsibly. I mean, it's okay to just not drink. It's okay to not smoke. Like, why the hell does everybody think you're supposed to smoke weed if you're black? That's stupid. I hate that. Why does everybody think that getting high and drunk all the time is suddenly cool? I mean, let me tell you a secret. Nothing great in America or in the world has ever been achieved by a group of people who stayed high and drunk all the time. So the next time you hear a rapper bragging about how he stays high all the time, understand that he's feeding poison into your mind. He's making you into a slave. And so my goal is, me personally, is to avoid the slave mentality. And sometimes avoiding the slave mentality doesn't mean rising above racism from white people. Sometimes getting away from the slave mentality means getting away from ignorant black people. And the fact is that if you see this case is cut and dry, simple, and in one dimension, I can't roll with you on that. I'm not going to roll with you on that. Like it or not, walk away, whatever. I don't care. I don't do this to make friends. I don't do this to get fans. When somebody comes up and tells me they agree with everything I say, that is not a compliment because it tells me you're not thinking about what I said. I want you to maybe respect me for giving my opinion and for making you think, but I don't necessarily need you to just say, "Oh, Dr. Boyce said it, so it must be right." No, that's not true. I can add something to the conversation, but everything I say is not right. So feel free to disagree. Feel free to tell me what you think. Go at it. Maybe I'll learn something from you. But I'm not on the bandwagon in this case. I'm Trayvon made more sense. George Zimmerman deserves to die. I think he deserved the death penalty for what he did. But beyond that, I'm trying to figure out what's going on with this Renisha McBride situation. And at the very least, I just wish that she were doing something different with her life that night so that she wasn't in a position to possibly be killed by a man who maybe had no problem shooting a black woman. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to assume that he didn't, that this guy's not a racist. So that's all I want to say about that. I'm done. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from yourblackworld.net. Until we meet again, stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. I am gone. Peace.